Good afternoon, everybody. Happy, what day is it today? Happy Thursday. How's everybody keeping? Oh my God, trying to keep track of the days is just mad, isn't it? So we're popping on today just to keep you up to date with what's going on here at Case Flower School. So one of the things, and I'm going to go through this, and if anybody is interested, it might be a good idea to grab a notebook and pen. So we've just had a selection of samples sent to us from Charlie in Evergreen silk plants. And I just want to kind of go through the delivery. I've prices on everything, do you know what I mean? So anybody that wanted to purchase the items, you can make a list here of what you takes your fancy. And obviously in the next couple of days, then I'm going to use up some of the items and make up some samples or some demonstration arrangements, tutorials that we can post up here for the likes of Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, or Easter. Okay, so if you are interested in writing down any prices and that, off you go and get that organized. The other thing is today is the closing date for Module 1 and Module 3 that is starting next week. The SkillNet closing date was last night, so snooze you lose, you missed out on the grant, which was worth over €200, but you still have time today to book directly onto the course with ourselves, but obviously you won't get the discount or you won't get the grant. Handiest thing to do is drop us an email, info@flowerschoolireland.com, and we'll get you sorted out. Now, we've had a lot of people saying that the January date didn't suit them, and when will be the next one? And it's around the middle of March. I think it's the 23rd of March. Can you remember, Deirdre, when the next Module 1?
Module 23rd of March.
23rd of March. And it looks like, fingers crossed, we haven't got it yet, looks like we may have funding for that one through SkillNets as well. Do you know that way? But a month beforehand. There is a Module 2 in February, but unfortunately we haven't been able to get any funding for that one. But listen, if anybody's watching there and you're unemployed, or you're on carers allowance, job seekers allowance, disability allowance, or whatever other allowance through social welfare that's out there, you are more than likely entitled to €1,000 funding through intro. A lot of people don't know about it, so just drop us an email because I can send you a link with all the information so that you can go and claim that grant. So again, drop us an email, info@flowerschoolireland.com. So in front of me here I have a glass vase, and I actually purchased this vase in IKEA just before the Christmas, you know, that way, very reasonably priced. I can't remember the exact price, but I know when we picked up a couple of them, we're saying, oh my God, like they're a bargain. So what I'm not going to do it now, but I'll have it for you for Monday, okay? I'm doing a pre-recorded tutorial on doing a foam-free display using a glass vase. So just if anybody wants to get organized for maybe next Monday or so, is that if you happen to be out in IKEA over the weekend, or if you're in maybe Mr. Price, or what's that other shop called? The Euro shop, or you know, any of them walk around places, a lot of them have vases this sort of shape, you know, that way. And as I said, I'm going to show you how to display some roses in it, but like you can substitute it for lilies or whatever flower that suits you. Now, foliage wise, what we got our delivery today, we normally get our foliage drawer here. Isn't this just amazing looking? Okay, so that's the eucalyptus. You know, the eucalyptus is just fabulous. You cannot beat the Irish eucalyptus, you know, that way. It's like Irish potatoes. It's the best in the world. Nobody else can kind of, you know what I mean, kind of to match it. So this foliage came from Stuart Williams Foliage Farm, and that's in Red Cross, County Wicklow. Now you can obviously only purchase from them if you're purchasing wholesale in bulk, and normally you have to buy a couple of bunches. So that's what one bunch looks like, just to kind of give you an idea. The scent of this is just amazing. If we were able to send smells through Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, it's absolutely amazing. And this will last for ages. If you cut the ends, take off the leaves below the water line, place it in a fresh bucket of water and store it outside. That is the trick, okay? Store it outside. You could get nearly a month out of it. Now, it won't last a month in the house in the heat, you know that way, but definitely outside it can last like up to a month. Now, people always message me and say, oh, Jeanette, what about the frost? This is Irish eucalyptus. It has been born and reared in Ireland. It doesn't know anything else. It has never seen sunshine because we get very little sun in Ireland, you know that way. So like this was probably picked yesterday. So it got the frost last week and the week before, and the snow and the ice and the hurricanes and all the other bad weather that we got in Ireland. This is as hardy. This is a toughie. This is kind of like, you know what I mean, It's, as I said, reared, born and reared and bred in Ireland. It's the best eucalyptus that you can get. Fantastic for wedding work, you know that way. Fantastic for flower arranging, and you can imagine that then displayed in this glass container. So that's our plan. Now again, another foliage, and a lot of you mightn't be familiar with this one. Phoenix foliage. When you're on holiday, so when you are in the sunshine, you see a lot of this kind of growing around the swimming pools. You know that way, our gardens kind of, I'm going to say Lanzarote because you know me, I'm always in Lanzarote. But you'll see a lot of this kind of like growing in the gardens. And I'd be laughing like around the swimming pools, you see some of the mums even hang the kids' swimming togs to dry on the Phoenix plants around the kind of like swimming area. Now this is imported, this didn't come from Lanzarote, and it's obviously grown kind of under, you know, like milder kind of conditions, in that it's a lot softer. You wouldn't be hanging your togs on this kind of Phoenix leaf, but it is part of the same family, and we use this for flower arranging. So you can imagine this in bouquets of flowers or glass vase displays, you know, that way be absolutely fabulous. So Phoenix leaf, and you can grow one in Ireland as well, but they are quite spiky because it's really hard, you know the way, the ones that you kind of grow in your garden. And if you had small children and they were walking past them, it would nearly take the face off them, you know that way. So just be very careful if you have a small garden, because I know my dad has one grown in his garden, and it's quite a narrow garden. And again, when our kids are all big now, so they're way over the Phoenix plant. But when the kids are small, you have to kind of be careful. And a lot of questions asking me about roses for Valentine's Day. What variety will they get? Now, you know us here at the school, we're always recommending Naomi roses, okay? But the price is off the wall at the moment with Naomi roses. So the roses that I have here are like, they're absolutely amazing. Hopefully you can see them on the camera. And they're called Ever Red, okay? So Ever Red roses, fabulous big heads, not too many thorns on them, do you know that way? And really, really strong stems on them. So like whether it's for making hand-tied bouquets or making flower arrangements, anybody that's watching there and you're kind of Googling what sort of red roses to look out for, Ever Red is that variety there. Now, I know we have a lot of our students probably tuned in. I actually forgot to give you the chance at the beginning to say hello and let me know what the weather is like.
They're saying hello.
They're saying hello anyway.
You know what the weather is like.
You know the procedure, don't you? But any of our students that is watching, we do have Fionnuala Macaulay from Vanderplas. That would be a Dutch supplier, and she's coming into our bloom rooms Friday week. So not this Friday, the following Friday, and she will be available to any of the students then that want to ask her questions about what varieties of roses, what grower is going to be the best. Because again, like where I can maybe give you a little bit of advice about varieties of roses. At the end of the day, growers have bad days and growers have good days. And there's lots of different growers out there who grow maybe Naomi roses, or grow the Ever Red rose, or grow the Freedom rose, you know that way. And when you get somebody from the ground, you know that way, that's from the inside basically, who's able to tell you, well, that grower's Freedom roses are brilliant, and that grower, his Freedom roses are shite. And that grower, his Ever Red roses are brilliant, and so on. So we're going to have Fionnuala in our bloom rooms discussing with the students who's the best, who has the best prices, what's the best variety, what's the best grower to kind of go for. And obviously any of our students that have questions about updating relative to buying your fresh flowers, you know that way, or your flower orders coming in from Holland, you know that way, Fionnuala is going to be there to give you a little bit of advice. Okay, so now the unboxing of the silk materials. Okay, so this is just a couple of materials that Charlie sent on. He's getting some deliveries in every week and every day, he said, and he just sent on a few things there just to kind of like for me to show you, and you may want to write down a bit of detail and the prices. So the name of this company, and anybody can buy from them, whether you're buying wholesale or you're buying retail or you're just buying it for yourself for a hobby, absolutely there's no problem buying from them. So they're called Evergreen Silk Plants. That's the name of the company. Maybe if one of the students is watching and they could maybe tag them for me in the comments, I'd really, really appreciate that. And his name is Charlie, and he's in RD County Louth, and you can call up to him. Always ring him in advance. Haven't got his phone number handy here, or you can message him on Facebook or message him on Instagram. That's normally what I do. And just double check with him what day suits best to call up, because it'd be a disaster if you had to drive a long way and he wasn't there. But normally if you tell him that you're going, he'll organise to be there, and you might get a cup of tea off him as well, and maybe a biscuit.
Selena's tagging Evergreen, so plants
Fair play
thanks
to
Selena.
Selena.
So is Gail, our resident virtual
secretary.
assistant. Joe Mackey is over in New Zealand, and she says it's 12:45 a.m. in New Zealand. It's dark, and we have some rain. And they're after having a drought, so the drought is just broken with the rain.
We could sell you water then, because we have loads of water here in Ireland. To be honest, it actually hasn't been raining too much in Ireland the last while. It's frosty, you know, that way, but it's killing all the germs. Like, hopefully we'll be COVID extinct in a little while, you know, that way. It's killing all the germs, and pretty cold out, but it's dry, and no sun today in Dublin, but it was sunny a couple of the other days.
Pauline has a question on YouTube.
Yeah.
She says, gorgeous flowers, will you be doing any courses for people who do flowers as hobbies?
So most of the free classes that we do here, you know, the live tutorials, and this week, to be honest, that's what we've been working on. We did 4 of them yesterday. So in case you think, oh God, they're sitting on their arses there, stuffing their faces and drinking bottles of water. We just had our lunch there a little while ago. What we're doing behind the scenes, well, we were starving because we were in here since 8:10 this morning. And I said that to David, is this our lunch? It's very early. And she said, we've a half a day's work done already. But what we normally do for the hobbyist or the amateur or the beginner or the person starting off is we have lots of like free tutorials. So as I said, yesterday we did 4 of them, and today we're planning to do another 2 or 3 of them. That's our plan for after this live class. And then what we will be doing is posting them on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and our Instagram page. Now, if you miss any of our posts, you know, the way you might say, God, I missed the video. Like, say, like last Monday, we posted a video here about revamping your Christmas wreath. The reason why you missed the post is you're not interacting with the page, okay? So, yeah, you're interacting with me now, and you're telling me what the weather is like, or where you're from, or you like such a thing, or you don't like such a thing. But what you really need to do is go down through some of the other posts on the page, you know what I mean, that we posted earlier this morning or yesterday, and just give us a thumbs up or a like or a comment or whatever. And that's called interacting with your page. And what will happen then is Facebook will realize, oh my God, this girl is interested in following this company, and they will always make sure that our videos and our posts come up in your thread, you know, that way. So that's a little tip for you here.
And just we've made the decision this year not to run a spring workshop.
Yeah,
but go on.
No, you go on. I'll let you tell that news.
Oh, thanks very much. We're going to just run our spring workshop as a free workshop live over 4 weeks on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yeah.
So we will be filling in beforehand and telling you what to buy.
15 different arrangements kind of covered in that. And as Deirdre said, yeah, we'll tell you what to buy so you can join in and so on. We've loads planned, you know what I mean? As we say, we're the school that keeps on giving, you know.
But it's been a tough enough year, and we were like, do you know what? Let's just do it that everybody can join the spring
And you know what? When you're reading some of the lovely comments, like Zavili put one up yesterday. I think yesterday we put up it was a node thread from 3 years ago, and it was when Evoke magazine did an article on us about turning digital and so on. And as we said, little did we know what was around the corner with feckin' COVID and how things had to change again, you know. But we posted up just kind of we must have had nothing else to post yesterday anyway, and we posted up just in the memories, you know, that way, of the Evoke article. It's still there, so you can go back and you can have a read of it, and you'll see photographs of Deirdre and myself, and like if you want to know a little, if you're nosy and you want to know a little bit about us, it's all in that article, it is. And there's some fabulous comments underneath. And like one of our, like, I'm just picking because I read this one earlier on, like Zavili put such a beautiful comment about finding a school, and she's lost her job, and now she's running such a successful business, you know, that way, by joining us here at Case Flower School. So we kind of feel, and like she's not the only one. People saying, like, with COVID, and they found that we got them through COVID and it was something to do and all the rest. So this is where somebody's trying to ring us there now. And this is where what we're hoping to, or not what we're hoping to, what we're planning to do is we're going to give something back to you, you know, that way. But as I said, we need the interaction, you know, that way.
And just, sorry, Caroline is asking, which I keep forgetting to mention it, when are we announcing the winner of the scholarship? Okay,
if Caroline went to the website, she'd get all that detail she would under the scholarship on the website. So we had so many applications. I mean,
1,270.
Yeah, 1,270 applications, and every one of them has to be read. Okay, So we're working our way through them at the moment, and we're shortlisting them all. Do you know that way? So what will happen is you'll get an email to say you have been put on the shortlist, or that you haven't been successful. That's the way we're kind of working it.
Bonus in there.
But there is a little bonus, yes. So watch out for the emails and check your spam box. But don't be panicking if you didn't get an email yet, because I'd say, would you say another 2 weeks we'll have them all done?
I'd say easy. No, longer. I'd say be longer.
Another
I'd say
3 weeks maybe.
Yeah, because like they're taking nearly 5 minutes per email.
Yeah. Like to read them, and some of them are pages long, do you know, that sort of way. So that's what we're doing. And what we had to do then was postpone the announcement until March, you know, that way. It'll still be the same price, it'll still be the 4 modules, you know, that way. Obviously the dates have obviously had to change, but again, interact with us. And like I'm already noticing the names, and it's kind of saying Mary Smith, hi, I applied for the scholarship, loving your demonstration, or whatever it might be. Hint, hint, hint. These little things help, you know, that way when we're shortlisting people, because we remember your name, we're familiar with your name, and obviously we want somebody who's going to interact on social media. So if anybody out there has applied for the scholarship, make sure that we see your name coming up in social media, not in emails. The public doesn't see the emails.
March before we announce it.
Probably March, yeah, before we'll announce it. Anyway, back to the samples. So isn't this a lovely little heart box? You know, that way. Now, it's not plastic lined, but you could use artificial flowers in it. You could put dry floral foam in it and then do artificial flowers. Or you could line it with either a plastic bag, or I find 2 sheets of cellophane is probably the best. You know the way? Line it with a bit of cellophane, put your wet floral foam down into it, and then you could do your fresh flowers. Like again, you could do something simple with maybe 3 roses coming up at one side and maybe a small little bit of champers on the opposite side, little box of chocolates, little candle or whatever. Or again, you could just do flowers kind of packed down into it. So these little boxes, and I actually can't see the price on this, as in there's no price on it. I'll just pass it to Deirdre.
Just in case
if something hasn't got a price on it, the best thing to do is ring Charlie, drop him a message. The girls have put his link there in the comments, and ask him the little heart box, how much is that one? So this is another one. This did have a price on it because I seen this earlier on. Where did I see it here? So it's sorry. It's 580 or something. Now, if I'm giving out the wrong price, I've no glasses on. Okay. So there's 2 boxes in this one. Okay. So there's a smaller one inside it. When we opened these this morning, we said, wouldn't these have been lovely if they were in lemon? So, Charlie, if you're watching, imagine for Easter, because just with the little scallop at the top, it nearly looked like an Easter egg, you know, that way for Easter time. But anyway, they're red, so they'd be brilliant for Valentine's Day. So this would be for the miserable boyfriend, and this will be for the wealthy boyfriend, the one that's having the affair, that has a mistress and his wife. They always buy something big for the mistress. That one's probably for the wife, and that one's for the mistress. But again, they're not lined, but you could put dry floral foam into them, and you could do artificial flowers, or again, you could line them both with plastic on the inside, 2 layers of plastic. I am going to be making these over the next couple of days, and these will all go up as pre-recorded tutorial classes that you can watch for free. They'll be on the YouTube, and they'll be here on the Facebook and the Instagram. So you get the 2 boxes there for 5, whatever the price that I said there. Now, there's a couple of artificial flowers. So this little bunch here, now what you would do is you would cut the bunch up, you know, that way, and make $3.90 it is. Now that includes the VAT, okay? So you're getting a little bit of foliage, you're getting your couple of little flowers, a little bit of artificial gyp, which actually looks, it's a nice artificial gyp, because it's always hard to get a decent artificial gyp. Now you'd probably need something else with that bunch, you know, that way. But again, for something like this, is to bring the roses maybe down one side of the arrangement, and then incorporate a little gift, maybe an engagement ring, you know, that way. Or as I said, a candle or a bottle of alcohol. Don't even get a small bottle of alcohol. It have to be one of them half bottles of wine or half bottles of shampoos. But he's a miserable fella, this one anyway. So that'll do for him. Or again, you could pack it out, you know, that way. And again, you'd need very little extra material with that if you were just going to pack it out.
All Things Beautiful on Instagram's asking, does Charlie post to the UK?
He does.
He does. Now, there has been changes with customs, so you know it's best to contact Charlie and find out for definite. I know for us getting stuff, so just check that.
Just check with him. Isn't this beautiful? Okay, this one is $7.50. I think there's 10 flowers on all together, 2 small ones and 8 big ones. So I actually reckon this one is good value. And this came in white as well. And like for anyone off the bridal course, if you have 2 of them, you would make a fabulous wired teardrop or wired share bouquet or a wired posy bouquet. So, you know, on the, again, some of you haven't done module 3 with me, where I do like the teardrop or the cascading bouquets. These would be brilliant. I know I provide you with fresh flowers as part of the class, but like you need to make some artificial samples, you know what I mean, that you can then show your public. So I'm not saying this is only for wedding work, but I just think they would be brilliant. So again, $7.50, that includes the VAT, by the way, from Charlie. And I just think for making flare arrangements, I think the other day I showed you these aubergine hat boxes. Wouldn't that colour be fantastic? But sure, even like with the pink, it's obviously going to go. And it might be a little bit clashy, but you remember, pink is the new red this year for Valentine's Day. Can you see how that could work as well? So I think they're good value depending on what you're going to make. But I have plans, okay, what I'm going to make with them. And I'm going to use one bunch in the arrangement. Again, I'll give you plenty of notice and you can join in if you have the materials. Now, it has these in other colours as well. So if you wanted to get the red for Valentine's Day, be absolutely perfect. If you want to get a paler pink one or the darker pink one for Mother's Day, yellow for Easter, or the white ones for your weddings. Now, this is another kind of a smaller little bunch, okay? These are all individual flowers. This one is $6.50, okay? So there's another little bit of kind of like texture inside it. Now, it's quite a small bunch, you know what I mean? So depending on what you're going to make. So say like with one of the hat boxes, maybe that smaller hat box.
Yeah.
These normally come in 3. So you can see there's a baby one inside it. You know what I mean? That bunch there would probably be just enough, you see, to make that with something else. Maybe another, but there's not enough foliage on it. You know what I mean? So you need something else. So I know like that's a little bunch there. You see, just to give you another little texture, there's a couple of like individual stems. And this one is, I think it's 150. 150, you know the way for that one, and that mixed in and out through it, and again with a smaller hat box. Because people always say to me about these hat boxes, what do you do with the smaller ones? Of course you try and flog them off, and of course you can use them. And remember, there's lots of miserable customers out there as well who are looking for something small. I'm only being slagging when I say miserable. Now, trying to get artificial foliage, this is an artificial kind of like ivy, but remember, you can break all that up. And again, when I'm doing artificial arrangements, that's what I do, is I kind of cut in between them. Don't cut off the individual leaf because it ends up being too short for you. In saying that, you could always use the 20 gauge wires and the green gutted tape, and you can add a stem onto it. And the day that I demonstrate, I'll show you how to do that. But normally for good value, I cut down in between the stems. You see the way my fingers are? And that way I get the length and I kind of get like a bushier piece.
And Slim wants to know where do we get the hat boxes? Are they from Evergreen silk plants as well?
The pink one I took up that time and the aubergine one was actually from Harold Ellams. But Charlie has lots of hat boxes as well. So I have showed them in other live demonstrations when I was doing unboxing. So this is just what came in his box today, you know, that way.
So
but
Claire obviously has just joined us. She says, oh, I didn't know you sold artificial flowers.
So we don't sell them, no. So I'm telling you that if you get onto Evergreen Silk Plants, RD, County Loud, rewind this and watch from the beginning, and you can get in touch with them. Some of the girls have tagged the company, so you can then follow him on Facebook, follow him on Instagram, and he sells to the public, and he also sells wholesale. And anybody that's buying in bulk, you're obviously going to get the stuff much cheaper than the prices I'm calling out now. So the price on this one, I'm as blind as a bat, sorry. 150 again, excuse me. It is 150, just double check that. I think it does say 150 on it. It does seem very cheap.
Yeah, 150. It is actually. That's
right.
Great value.
And this one here is 290. Okay, so that would do as a filler, or again, you know, if you wanted to do a group in one arrangement, or anybody, I know we have a lot of followers here doing maybe artificial wreaths or artificial grave arrangements. This would again be great as a filler. But again, like, you know, I mean, 1 or 2 of them to one side of a modern flower arrangement, they would work out well. So that's that bunch there. Couple of big leaves. Now, the great thing about these artificial leaves is you can bend them and kind of maneuver them and mold them. You see, like to get a shape off them. If you wanted that one coming up at the back of a modern one, or again, if you wanted to kind of more, now if you want to be a very big arrangement, to have that out to the side, but maybe like 2 or 3 the same, do you know what I mean? And kind of like layer them on top of each other to one side, they would look quite well. So these are €1 for that leaf, and I can't see the price on that one, but I'm not going to strain the eyes, okay? It's probably less than that. There's another kind of like little filler there that would do. Do you remember that little bunch of roses? And I was saying, well, you'd need something else kind of going through it. What's the price on this one? Jamie Mack, I definitely have to get a pair of glasses. 190 for that one. So it actually is nice. And again, you could break it into smaller pieces. Use wires and go to get even better value.
Deirdre Pike Nolan says Charlie's products are amazing and top quality.
Top quality, I have to say. The stuff is top quality, and he does have kind of like a couple of different ranges. So if you want cheap and cheerful, or you want classy and expensive, he has both, you know, that way. Sometimes you find with wholesalers, they seem to specialize in either one level or the other level, but he kind of has across the range. Because I'm not saying in all funeral wreaths, but normally in funeral wreaths, like a cheaper range sometimes or most times work. Now, he sells lots and lots of heads, okay? So in a few minutes, I'm going to be taking heads out of the box. And like when you look at them like that, you say, oh God, like, you know what I mean? What is that? You know what I mean? And then you kind of take it out of the box and a bit of fluffing around and heavy breathing and a bit of blown. And to see the size of the head when I open it out, and that's it then to see in other colours. And he sells the plastic stems that go into the back of them. And a lot of these, like if you're making a flower arrangement, you're looking for long stems. But obviously, if you're doing funeral wreaths or you're using these as your obviously the same color, I wouldn't use the two colors. I wouldn't use the two colors together. You can get shorter stems and then you can wire them. And I do have a video tutorial how to make an artificial wreath using obviously faux flowers, artificial flowers. And I explain all that. So if you haven't seen that video, you'll find it on YouTube.
Okay, the Balloonology of an Instagram says, can you share on Instagram the website? It's Evergreen Silk Plants on Instagram. I presume his website is probably the same. John says, excuse my ignorance, but who's Charlie?
Charlie owns Evergreen Silk Plants.
Yeah, so Charlie owns with Paula. So Evergreen Silk Plants on Instagram. If anybody is on Instagram and can tag them, let me please do. I see a few of our students out there, so they might do it on Instagram. Or Gail, you might hop over to Instagram if you don't mind and do it.
When you're doing nothing, sitting on your arse there.
Yeah.
Now, this one I think is a little bit expensive, $4.90. I'm just going to pass it to Deirdre just to double check, but isn't absolutely gorgeous. Imagine that for Easter, you know, that way in a flower arrangement.
$4.90.
Yeah, so it is a little bit expensive, I think, you know, that way. Like some of you might say, God, no, Jeanette, you think that's great value. Remember, there's no VAT added onto it. That's the price, you know, that way. And obviously, if you're buying them in bulk, you would get an even bigger discount. But do you remember at Christmas, I had these, I don't have them at hand, but I had these kind of like mossy baskets and they looked like a nest. I did use them at Christmas time.
That one there.
Yeah, it's not exactly like that, but you know what I mean? They were kind of like roundy containers and they kind of had that moss effect on them. Wouldn't that be beautiful down in it? You know what I mean? Now, it would bring up, that basket is a little bit more expensive. And obviously to add that into one side of it, it would be a little bit more expensive again.
Gail, Jackie, and Caroline are over tagging Evergreen.
Fair play to you. These are the best girls, you know that way. So there's a little egg and all in that. And he also sent out a box of birds. And I don't know whether these are budgies, or sparrows, or pigeons, or whatever. $6.99. God, I'm really bad. I'm $6.90 thereabout. There's six birds in the box. Okay, so that means they're just over €1 a bird. They're obviously not pigeons, by the way, and that's what they look like. And they have a little clip on the underneath part of them. So if you were using twigs of your hair, you could just catch it on. Aren't they beautiful? Again, for Mother's Day, where was that purpley box? Wouldn't that just be beautiful?
Oh my God,
you know, that sort of way. Or again, you could maybe catch it. You know the way I do use the lids in these. If you haven't seen it before, you'll see it in a little while. You know that way. Well, not a little while today. But again, get them clipped on. I use the lid as part of the arrangement. You know that way. And again, you could have the bird, you see, sitting on the top of the lid. And you can have it in your flower arrangement. So I'll do something like that. And I'll definitely use that bird in it.
Claire wants to know, does he post to the UK? As far as we know, he does. But with customs changes, you just need to check that out with him. So Evergreen, and Gail has put the Instagram, Gail over on Instagram has put up his Instagram handle and his website address. Thanks, Gail. And she's put his website address on.
What about his phone number again?
Yeah, Gail, if you hop up to YouTube and do the same, it'd be great.
I get his phone number. I put his phone number up there, so that'd be brilliant as well. So these are all single flowers. So that one is $125 for that small flower there. That one is $160, you know what I mean? So just kind of like for somebody wanting individual flowers, okay? And these are on their long stems. Where you do find the heads work out cheaper and you put your own stems on them, but normally you don't get any foliage on them then, you see? That's $125 for that one there. That's a nice red rose, you know, like for anybody doing an artificial Valentine's arrangement, this would be a nice rose, I think, anyway. And it's $190 for that one. Deirdre didn't like this one because she doesn't like the kind of orangey red. We kind of prefer the darker red, you know, that way. That's the kind of orangey red. But I do like the shape of the rose. Just but for somebody that's not as
Would actually go probably with that box.
Probably will actually. Yeah, there you go. To see the way it works kind of with that box there. So this head is, or this stem.
Tricia Mullen says Charlie has beautiful heads.
He's no hair. He is baldy, isn't he?
I think he is.
I think he's baldy. I think Paul makes him wear it. 250 for that particular rose there. Now these are all the little heads, you know what I mean? So this is where you can buy bags of rose heads or ranunculus heads, and you put the stems on them yourself. I don't have any prices for these, okay? So again, you can just ask him about them. A screenshot, a photograph, you know what I mean, of any of the flowers that you see. But he knows what he sent out because he only sent these out yesterday or the day before. They arrived yesterday evening. So it'll be fresh in his mind what I'm showing you here, because he's obviously not watching, because normally he'd be after joining in and putting up his phone number for us. So again, you can get your plastic stems, and again, for doing these little arrangements here, like that's a nice rose there. Do you see that size there? It's a nice rose, or that one's probably a little bit big. You see for that container there. And nearly at the end here, a couple more of them little single ones. They're the same as the other ones I called out earlier. What would be 125, I think, was the price.
The one in the middle.
That's a nice one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, back to my favorite box.
Yeah, because
you know, that way we would work with it. You know what I mean? So we need to be thinking kind of Mother's Day as well. Do you know what I mean? I know Valentine's Day is the next busy thing, but straight away we'll have Mother's Day, and then we're going to have Easter. So I'm going to try and combine like everything. And the last thing we have in the box, well, there's another little fecky little piece, like a little daisy or a Michaelmas daisy, but the Pampas grasses. Now, you know, Pampas is for the swingers. So if you ever see anybody with Pampas grown in the garden, there's a good chance there's a swingers party going on in there. Now, if anybody doesn't know what a swinger is, contact Gail and she'll put the post up. Gail's not a swinger. Well, not that we know. Nothing wrong with being a swinger anyway. So anybody that's looking to advertise that there's a swingers party going on, there is your Pampas grasses. Isn't this colour amazing?
Yeah.
Deirdre just love. That's actually the colour of her accent colour in her sitting room. She's just got recently done up. So I think you'll be getting a few of them, will you?
I think I will.
It's kind of like, it's not a peacock blue, it's not turquoisey, tealy turquoise. Again, 2 or 3 of them coming up. It doesn't have to be for a swinger, by the way.
So Barry's sister must be loads down her way.
So if you need a bit of fluff in your life, there you go. You could be going around now and you could pretend in your short little mini skirt and apron, and you could be dusting the house there now with your Pampas grass. A couple of little small ones. Not mad about that one.
When it came on trend for weddings, we just thought
we were laughing. We were, you know what I mean? Because again, it's only the L ones know it was for the swingers. The other, all the young ones haven't got a clue. That one there is 250. That one there is 350. Wasn't mad about that one myself. The teal one is, looking at it upside down, 490.
Oh,
it's expensive. That is expensive. Yeah, you know what I mean? Ask them, will you do it a bit cheaper? Because you'd want 2 or 3 of them, you know, that sort of way. That one's probably the same family, I'd say, same selection. 490.
But the only thing is, like, I did buy real Pampas grass that was that bluey teal colour, had been dyed, but like after a while it sheds everywhere.
This is it, yeah. Imagine if you're having your swingers party and you're finding that in your knickers in your bra afterwards. Gee, that could be awful. 250 for the little baby one, for baby swingers. So that's the box unpacked. So hopefully that's given you a couple of ideas. Now, I know you're all probably saying, with Jeanette, should up and should get going there and start making the video. So that is the plan. I'm going to have a quick cup of tea. We're going to start using up some of this material, doing a couple of demonstrations, and then we can get them posted.
Liz Parker says, dear, to have expensive taste, and Don says the teal one is for the rich swinger.
The rich swingers, this is it, absolutely. The posh ones, they're only for, there's the little baby one, that's only for the cheapies. The ones on the pup payment. They'll only have a little small swingers party. Oh, we're slagging bitches, aren't we? Hopefully everybody is in good form. Anybody that has COVID, hopefully you're not getting it too bad, that you're getting the Omicron version. There's probably some people have got it bad. I know a couple of our students that have flower shops. I know Claudia down in
near y'all.
Lismore. Her shop is closed at the moment because they're all close contacts. But she said, like, there's not a bother of them. But obviously she's sitting at home playing with her Pampas grass as well. Hope you're all keeping well. Keep in touch, and we may be on tomorrow.
I'd say we might.
We'll get something organised. We'll get something organised, and we might have. You see, when I do the videos, Deirdre then has to do all the editing on them. So it's not like that easy that we just say we get it up straight away. But you listen, if she took the finger out and she stopped eating and she got to move on, we might get a good start. So listen, any questions that you have about any of this artificial stuff,
ask Charlie.
Ask Charlie. No point in messaging me. Obviously, you can put your questions in the comments below if you're watching this later on, because chances are Charlie will come on and he can answer you then himself. And again, we'd really appreciate any chance of a quick share. Go and click share and let's get the word out there. Okay, goodbye everyone. Have a lovely day and talk to you all very soon.